Test 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2.
Good morning to all of you. On behalf of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, we welcome you to this hearing, which has to do with the case submitted by Hul'qumi'num Treaty Group from Canada. Here with me, we have Commissioner and the Vice President, Rodrigo Escobar Gil. And we appreciate also the presence of the representatives of the petitioners, as well as the illustrious delegation from Canada. The hearing has the purpose of hearing about the present case and the land involved in order to have more information with regard to going forward with a merits report. The representation of the petitioners have the floor. And we have now here the Commissioner Paulo Pinedo. You have the floor for 20 minutes. Microphone, please.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to introduce the 6 chiefs and representatives from the Hulquminum First Nation members of HTG, all in attendance at this hearing today. Chief Lydia Huitzum, Cowichan Tribes. Chief Richard Thomas, Liaxin First Nation. Chief Cyril Livingstone, Lake Cowichan First Nation. George Seymour, Counselor for Chief John Elliott, Zaminas First Nation. Myris James for Chief Earl Jack, Penellicut Tribe. And John August, Counselor for Chief James Thomas, Hul'qumi'num First Nation. Robert Morales, Chief Negotiator for HTG and a member of the Cowichan Tribes, is also in attendance. Representatives and dignitaries from the 14 First Nations organizations and NGOs that have filed amicus briefs in this case are also in attendance at this hearing today. Those in attendance include Chief Doug White from the First Nations Summit, who's also Chief of the Nanaimo Tribe First Nation. Jody Wilson, British Columbia Assembly of First Nations representative, is the regional chief for both the regional AFN and represents the National Assembly of First Nations. Craig Benjamin is from Amnesty International, which has filed an amicus brief on our behalf, as has Lawyers' Rights Watch, represented by Heather Noon. Tim Raybould from West Bank First Nation is also an amici in this case, and he's representing Chief Robert Lowy. HTG's arguments, evidence, and allegations have been extensively documented in the submissions provided to the Commission in this case. This morning, I will present the key facts and outline the specific violations of the American Declaration alleged against Canada by HTG. HTG's witness, Hul'qumi'num, will then give testimony describing the ongoing and irreparable nature of the harms to the Hul'quminum indigenous peoples' territories caused by Canada's present-day violations of the Declaration in failing to secure and safeguard their rights in their ancestral lands. I'll conclude with a brief summary of HTG's principal arguments on the merits of the case and outline our specific requests for relief. The chiefs have requested me to respectfully ask if Hul'qumi'num might be allowed to open with a short prayer according to Hul'quminum customs and traditions. Thank you. Thank you. To the Honorable Commissioners, this is a simple case. it is uncontested that the Hulquminum peoples have lived, subsisted, and worshipped upon their ancestral lands, located in British Columbia since time immemorial. HTG has presented extensive evidence, uncontested by Canada, that the Hulquminum continue to rely upon and utilize these lands for their cultural survival, identity, and integrity today. What is also not disputed in this case is that some 230,000 hectares to a private railway corporation in 1884, and that the Hulquminum have never been offered restitution for the expropriation of virtually their entire traditional territory by the state. But, contrary to Canada's assertions, HTG wishes to stress that this case is not about an historic taking, to quote Canada's submission, that occurred in the 1800s. The Hulquminum are not asking the Commission to turn back the clock and investigate alleged past wrongs committed against them long ago prior to the assumption by Canada of its obligations under the OAS Charter and the American Declaration in 1990.